Hi guys, it's Freddy here, back on the desktop with this week's Retro RPG. First of all, can I apologise for any background noise, as we seem to be in the middle of a storm at the moment. There's hail rattling off the windows and wind whistling past us. But a cold, dark, stormy night seems to be particularly apt for this week's Retro RPG, which is De Profundis. Now this is a new style game, which came out in 2001 from Hogshead Publishing. The new style games were experiments in a different type of role-playing. Games which didn't quite look at role-playing the same way as Dungeons & Dragons and the other very popular games of the time, and similar games to this day. De Profundis is a Lovecraftian horror game where two or more players will play it by writing letters to one another. Let's start on the back and let's go through it. How well do you know your own mind? Games within games and worlds within worlds. Horrors lurk beyond the corners of everyday existence, and stories of fears beyond imagination come in letters from strangers. De Profundis is revolution in gaming, a return to the noble roots of horror with an entirely new style of play. Share your experiences with others and read as their descriptions link together, creating a tapestry of psychological terror in a web that covers the globe to ensnare you utterly. De Profundis is a radical GM-free role-playing game of modern 1920s horror in the style of H.P. Lovecraft. It can be used solo or with a group. Written in an atmospheric and immersive style, this book contains all the information you need to enter the game's disturbing world, as well as a description of psychodramatic role-playing techniques. De Profundis is part of Hogshead Publishing's critically acclaimed new style line of innovative, genre-defying narrative games. Other titles include The Extraordinary Adventures of Baron Munchausen, Puppetland, Pantheon and Other Games, and Violence, the RPG of uproarious and repulsive bloodshed. The game is intended for mentally stable adults. It is not a Call of Cthulhu product. So this is originally a Polish game. You'll pardon me trying to flatten it down, as it's become a little crumpled over the years, because it really isn't much of a book at all. We are talking 32 pages. A bit of a pamphlet. Thinner than many adventures. And it's also kind of ruleless. If we look in here, the entire thing is in the series of letters written, which explain about the game, while being an example of play at the same time. And that's kind of fascinating. It does make a good read. I discovered this the other day in my collection. I was actually going to do a completely different game, but I've been discussing De Profundis with my son, my eldest son, who's 21 this week, as he thought it sounded like an interesting concept. So when I just stumbled upon it, because it was jammed between two other games, I thought I'd cover it this week. And I've read the first few pages, and it's an interesting descent into horror story, as the letters bounce backwards and forwards, describing his mental collapse and what De Profundis as a game is doing to him. It explains the rules, what few there are, the style, what you should be writing about. For example, in Call of Cthulhu, you might tell the games master that your character is going away to research something. He wants to find out the history of the old house that he's going to be staying in. Whereas De Profundis, you would be writing about your character going and staying in this old house, but you would actually go away to the library and research the subject yourself. You wouldn't tell a games master, you go and do the work. So you actually are playing out some of the character's story. It's a very interesting concept. I'm not sure it's for me, especially as they recommend that you handwrite all the letters. They recommend do not use email, which I think would just be a challenge for everybody with me, because my handwriting looks like a chicken fell in some ink and then flapped its wings over the pages. But it's an interesting concept. Come to the end where Apparently in 2001 you could send away and receive a password and login for the Society's page on the internet. It gives you an idea of what kind of characters, whether you want to play something that's already in an H.P. Lovecraft story, if you want to make your own. And then it's got another article there which goes into some more detail. And that's it. A very interesting idea, very different from most role-playing games. That's De Profundis. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing at all. But most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye.